Hi, my name is Amanda, and today we will be going over APX within your Abacus Law program. As you can see, I already have my Abacus accounting open, and what we are going to be doing first is configuring APX for how we would like to use it within the firm. To do that, I'm coming to File, Setup, and Company Preferences. From here, you will be presented with your Company Preferences window, and the tab we are looking for is at the far right. Depending on the version of Abacus that you are currently running, yours may say Payment Setup, just as you see here within my program, or it may say Credit Card Setup. Either way, go ahead and click that tab, and now you're presented with your APX settings. Initially, under the processor, you will see Abacus Payment Exchange 2.0 listed as the processor of choice. In the accounting section, you will see your operating and your trust deposit account if you provided both on your APX application. If you did not provide a trust account, please disregard this section and ensure that your operating account is listed within the drop-down space. The next box that we're looking at is labeled Pay Now. Pay Now is one of the three ways of using APX. It is an emailed invoice that is sent to your client with a secure payment link in order for them to log on and pay their balance in full. If this is something that you would like to have the ability to turn on within each matter, you do want to make sure this box is checked. Now, checking this box and saving does not opt in all of your matters for Pay Now. What this is doing is simply giving you the ability to opt in those matters, which we will go over in just a moment. Once you are happy with the configuration that you see listed, go ahead and hit your Done in the bottom right corner. You'll receive confirmation on screen that everything has been updated successfully, and you will click OK. The next thing we are going into is the matter itself. Now, as mentioned, you will be configuring the matters as to how you would like to use APX for them. This is something that you are setting up on a matter-by-matter basis. When I double-click on my matter, it will open for me. And the tab you're looking for is at the bottom right, listed as CC Info, our very last tab that we see. Now, clicking this initially for the very first time within a matter, nothing will be checked, and you will not see any detail here in blue. What the system is waiting for you to do is how are we planning on using APX for this individual matter. If we would like to go the route of only using Pay Now for this matter, meaning we are choosing to send them an emailed invoice with a secure payment link for them to open that invoice and pay online anywhere that they have internet access, the only box that you need to address for that is the far right-hand corner. Include Pay Now request with emailed invoice. Now, if we are only going to be using Pay Now for this matter and no other options for APX as far as storing payment method on file for running a payment manually, or storing a payment method on file for setting up a reoccurring payment cadence. If we are only using Pay Now, simply click the box here listed on the right-hand corner and click your Save. The other two ways of using APX do require that you store a payment method on record within the matter. As mentioned just briefly a moment ago, you can store a payment method on file and use our payments icon or trust deposit icon listed in our top launch bar. In order to save a payment method on record, you do need to check the box here on the left-hand corner, allow charging credit card or ACH on file for bill payments. This is going to do two different things. It is going to then expect that we are adding and saving a payment method at this time, but it is also showing a hidden setting here, which is listed as always charge credit card or electronic check automatically for bill payments. Now, typically this is something that you will be unchecking because we do not want to automatically run the client payment method without your or their involvement. So we would uncheck the second choice here to prevent that from happening. Now, as mentioned, when we check the box here on the top left, it is now waiting for me to add payment method information. So to add a payment detail and store on file, I come right down to my Add button listed along the left, and I'll be presented with a window to begin filling in that payment information that has been provided to me by my client. Initially, it will default to a card, and you can see the 4 card types that are accepted listed on the right. You will fill in that card information, upon selecting the states as our country, it is going to expect a full billing address as well. So do ensure that you have all details available to you when going in to add these payment methods. As you can see, every field with a red star listed is a required field. Another piece to point out in here that is very important is the email address field. The email address is where all receipts will be routed to by default whenever the payment method is used. You will need to ensure that all information is accurate before hitting save to prevent yourself from having to come back and re-enter the same data. If we save a payment method and we notice we maybe made a typo or the details are incorrect from what we saw on the card versus what we had entered, you do need to completely remove that payment method and add that all over again. If your customer is paying with an e-check or ACH, you are presented with that bubble at the very bottom. You can fill that bubble in, and now our fields have changed. Again, you can see a red star next to every required field. It is expecting a full billing address, and again, we are presented with the email address field, meaning the same concept applies, whether it is a card or an e-check, ACH payment. Accuracy is very important to ensure that you do not have to delete and come back and re-add the payment details. And the email address listed here under the e-check ACH option is where receipts will be sent to you by default as well. Once we have filled in everything accurately to the best of our ability, you have a blue Save button here in the bottom center. Simply click that button and our window here will close, and you will now see listed in the box in the center of our window in blue what we have now added. You can see the account type, a preview of the account number, the expiration, the account name, and if we would like to set a status for each of these primary or secondary payment methods, we can do so, but this is optional. If I noticed that I had made a mistake, maybe my MasterCard, I noticed the last 4, I did not type in correctly. If I need to remove that, simply click on the payment method, click the delete button, and then return and re-add with accurate information to update the payment details. The reason why we cannot simply click on a payment method and edit or open the details of that payment method is because of the security aspect and the encryption of the payment details once they are saved and stored. So because of this, to give you and your customer peace of mind and the best security possible, you cannot come back and edit these. You must delete and re-add. Once you have configured the matter for how we would be using APX for them, we are now able to begin working those methods. If I am storing a payment method on file and I am simply storing it for the sake of being able to run a payment manually as needed and when agreed upon with the client, I can simply add that within the matter, and now that I have done so, I am free to come to the very top to my payments icon. When you are in here, it will be business as usual. You will be selecting your matter. If an invoice number is appropriate for this particular payment, you may fill that in, or you may select your choice listed from the boxes below. As you can see, once I select my matter, I am presented with those invoices. I am also going to be entering in the payment amount that I will be collecting today. And as you can see, we have a new box here, charge credit card / ACH for this bill payment. Now checking this box is going to tell the system that I would like to use the card that I have stored on Mr. Tom Seller's matter to collect the $2,000 payment for today. And again, you can check your invoice if we need to, or the invoice number, but ultimately this box here is what is going to activate APX for the collection of these funds based off of the payment method that we had just saved within the matter. Once you hit your done on our window here, you will be routed right back to your payments received, and you will need to click on that payment line and hit post in order to complete that payment life cycle. If we are going to be running a trust deposit, if that is appropriate for your firm, you can click on our trust deposits icon right next to our payment icon to the right of it. And this will also present you with a window. You'll select your matter, enter the dollar amount that we are collecting for today. And again, we see the same verbiage, charge credit card / ACH for this deposit. Checking this box is going to turn on APX to collect the funds and run the card listed within this matter. You will click your done, and you will see that now listed here on our trust deposit screen, and hit our post. The next way of using APX that we are going to discuss is for Pay Now. If we are using Pay Now, meaning the emailed invoice with secure payment link, I am going to come to my billing menu here at the top, and you will work your pre-bills as usual, but when we get to our print bills, you will notice that we have a new column listed now. That column is about right in the middle, and it is labeled as Pay Now. What you're seeing is a sequence of boxes. Some are checked, some are not. Those that have a check mark within their box have been opted in within their matter maintenance window to be opted in to receive Pay Now requests. I can temporarily remove somebody from a Pay Now batch that has been opted in just by simply clicking right on that checkbox. The check mark has now disappeared, but if I wanted to put it right back, I can just simply click in that box again and it is there. You cannot opt in somebody new for Pay Now from this screen though. If you notice my very first line here, if I try to check that box, it is going to give me a message letting me know that I need to go back to the matter maintenance menu in order to opt this particular matter in. Otherwise, when you are ready to send off those Pay Now requests, simply change your destination in the bottom right-hand corner to say email. And when your email button lights up, you may click that icon. When a payment request is received by your customer, the image that they will see looks just like this. And this is coming to them via email. So the body of their email will have your firm information listed. They will have a PDF copy of their invoice attached, and they will see the summary of the invoice, including number and balance due today. They will click on their blue icon listed as Pay Now, and they will be routed to their web browser. Again, we would see your firm info listed here at the top, an invoice summary card over along the left, and they have a field for payment methods and payment details. If we had a payment method on file for this particular matter within our Abacus accounting, they would see that as an option to pay with. They do not have to provide you a payment method in order for Pay Now to function. So if they have not provided a payment method and this space is empty, they will simply click the plus sign right along that dark blue line where it is listed as payment method, and they will present a payment method collecting screen. It will default to a card. Again, we see the 4 types. It looks very much like what you are presented with in your program. The red stars indicating required fields, and they do receive a message below their email letting them know that payment details will be sent to this email address. Now, they also have the ability to save this card information for future payments. That does not add this payment method information to your Abacus accounting program. By your client leaving this box checked, all that they are ensuring is that the next time they receive a Pay Now request, that payment method will be sitting here for them as an option to pay this second or third or so on invoice with. That is completely optional. They do not have to do this. They would just simply uncheck that box so that the system will not remember any payment methods, and they will add a fresh one every time they receive a Pay Now request. If they have saved multiple payment methods and they wish to delete them, they have a trash can icon just to the far right of every payment method that is currently listed and shown. They can simply click that and then add something fresh to pay with. And the payment details, you will see the full balance that is due for today. So once your customer has entered their payment information and they are now ready to proceed with payment, they will click their blue Pay Now button. They will receive confirmation right on screen that that payment went through successfully. They will see a green bar listed with payment successful, and just below, they will be notified that a receipt has been sent to their email address. Now, they are also presented with a receipt right on screen that they can download as well, using the download button right at the bottom center. The email that they will receive will look as shown. Your firm information at the top, addressed to the primary contact who received the Pay Now request. the dollar amount, the payment date, and the payment method will be shown. Now, in-house, you will also receive an email notification letting you know that somebody has paid their Pay Now request. It would be addressed to primary within the office. You have received a payment from, the client name, and the details of that payment below. Now, when an email like this is received, you are not yet done with posting that transaction. So what you will need to do is return to your Abacus accounting, come to our billing menu, and go to Payments Received. What you will see is that line item sitting right here listed as our Pay Now payment, and you will hit Post to complete the life cycle of that payment. The third and final way of using APX is referred to as recurring payments. This does require that we store a payment method on file for the matter, but this is a way of scheduling out payments across a specific date range for your customer. To do this, you're climbing up to Billing, scrolling down to Recurring Payments, and click Create Recurring Payment. You will select your matter and click Next. Now, if I had selected a matter and attempted to click Next, but the system recognized that this particular matter does not have a payment method stored, I would receive a pop-up message letting me know that I do need to return to the matter maintenance window and add that before it will let me proceed. So you do have a safety net in place to ensure that you are not setting up a payment plan without a payment method on file to run those payments. Either way, upon clicking Next, we'll be presented with our payment setup screen. In the top right, you will see the deposit to account. You can adjust this to operating or trust if applicable. We would see the payment method that is currently being used listed in our dropdown. In our recurring type, we have multiple options here. So you can do a single one-time payment to schedule it out for future, but usually we're setting up a monthly frequency. Now, the way that you will determine how best to use these boxes here to the right for reoccurring amount or total amount, it is going to be one or the other. So if we are anticipating costs and we want to collect a certain dollar amount per month, we can set that in here. Maybe I want to collect $500 per month starting on June 1st, and we will have it run for the next 8 months. I can simply put an 8 in the occurrences, or I can calculate 8 months from June 1st and enter that stop date here. Either way, the system will configure to run appropriately. And as you can see, as soon as I click out of that box, the other two boxes that I did not touch will calculate an update for me. Now, the other way of using this would be maybe this particular file, we have closed the case. We're no longer anticipating costs, but they owe us a very large balance that they cannot afford to pay in full. We can enter that total amount in this field here. Again, you will select your start date, and in your occurrences, you will just indicate how long you are giving them to pay off this particular balance, or we can go with a hard stop date. Now, either way, if I am giving them 6 months to pay off their $4,000 bill, you can see the system will adjust and update my dates as well as the reoccurring amount. So you can explain to the client the details of this payment plan upon hitting save. The description box will populate for you, but it can be modified just by simply placing our cursor and highlighting, deleting, or typing in any additional information. And the final box you're presented with is where notifications will be sent to. So what we are doing in here, we are entering in emails for others within the firm. This is not where you will be entering in the client email. Their email that is tethered to the payment method that is being used to collect this payment information will already receive their receipts. This is where we would want to list the attorney, billing staff, anybody who needs to be made aware of what is happening with this recurring payment plan. You can have up to 10 different email addresses listed. Just simply separate them by commas. Once you are done, you will click Create Schedule in the bottom right-hand corner, and this window will close out for you. You will then be presented with all recurring payments that are currently set up those that have been completed and those that have been canceled. You'll see various colors, and the status will be reflective upon where we are at with that particular payment plan. All active plans will show with a white background, listed as active under our status column. All that have been completed will show a shade of green and be listed as completed. And those that have been canceled will show a shade of red and be listed as canceled. If at any point you would like to know a bit more of each of these plans, simply click on that line item and an index card will be displayed to the right. You will see the start date, the next payment date if applicable, the last payment date, as well as the status. You can see their progress, you can see their total payment details, and the dollar amounts of maybe dollar amount remaining, dollar amount that had failed, and how much we successfully collected within this plan while it was still active. If at any time you would like this to be collapsed, our index card to the right, just go ahead and click right back on that line item and it will close. If you need to make a cancellation to a payment plan mid-plan, you'll need to click on that active line item, and the cancel button here at the top toward the left-hand corner has lit up for me. I can click my cancel and it will ask me for confirmation. I just simply confirm. And now that is listed as red and the status has been updated to canceled. There are various reports that pertain to APX within your program. For that, you're going to find them up at our reports menu under billing. Initially, the first three that we see start with the words credit card. We have credit card and ACH billing statement. You can adjust your date range, the report type to be summary or detailed. And you have some sort options here. Do we want to sort by card type or deposit account? Now, what you are seeing when you run this report, it is going to list all transactions that have made their way into your bank account. So these are funds that have been made available to you already. What you can see here in this preview, we see the transaction date, the status, confirmation number, the last four of the payment method, the payee, the matter it is associated with, matter ID, client ID, account, fees, and other dollar amount details. This report is best to help you understand and also review the funds that are in your bank account. You can see the transaction status. And again, we will go over your APX dashboard where you can also see transaction statuses there as well. But in this case, this is what your report will return to you. Your credit card activity report will list all transactions that have been in this time frame. Not necessarily those that have been deposited into your bank account, but rather all transactions. What you will see is it will be displayed as client, matter, the account number, invoice number, paid, response, approved, or declined messages. So you will see that reporting here as well. The final report within these first three is our chargeback. So this is going to be any sort of transaction that your client has disputed either with their bank or their credit card company. They did not recognize the charge and have since contacted the appropriate financial institution to dispute that. This is where you would be going over, looking over pending, won, or lost chargebacks. Now, if we scroll down a bit further, we have two that are starting with the word pay now. Pay now payments received is simply just that, looking at the payments that have come through via pay now during this date range. And we can have the client, the matter number, and the sorting options available to us. Pay now transactions, you can sort through your date range, decide if you would like client and matter number listed, but you can also drill down to specific pay now transaction statuses using this dropdown. Now you can see all, active, deleted, expired, and so on. So depending on what you're looking to accomplish by reviewing this report, you can make that selection here. And again, you're seeing the same sort options available. You are also given access to our APX merchant portal. Now this is where you can keep track of metrics that apply and pertain to your APX transactions. We have our merchant portal. I'm going to log in here and we will be discussing the dashboard that you're presented with. There are changes and updates being made to this dashboard to make it more user-friendly and intuitive. This quick charge box is not something that we would like our customers to be using at this time, so please disregard this section. We have our today's sales and our sales section down here. Both of these areas will function as a graph. You'll see how you're doing for today, and then our sales section, you'll see how you are doing for the date range listed along the bottom. That date range is adjustable. You can use our purple preset dropdown for one of our presets that we have created, or you may use the calendar icon to adjust the start and end range. You also have a funds snapshot listed toward the far right. Now this can be adjusted to a calendar or rolling if you wish. And again, we see the calendar icon here, meaning that we can adjust the date range. But we are getting year to date, month to date, and then the selected date details along with the dollar amounts for each. In the far right-hand corner, you have account balance. Now this dollar amount is a balance of the pending deposits that we have sent to your bank. As those funds are made available to you, this dollar amount will reduce because those have now since been deposited and made available. Along the far left, we have various choices that apply to pulling data for your APX. The first area we're going to address is our payment section. We have payment history. And payment history is where you'll be able to see a list of all transactions as well as the status of each of those. The status column here will show different colors, and the very first color that you will see when a transaction is approved, we will see a blue bubble listed, and when I hover, it will say approved. The next phase is called captured, and our bubble would turn green. And what that means is that APX has captured those funds, prepared that deposit, and sent it to your bank. Your bank is now working on processing that deposit to make those funds available to you. Once those funds are available, the bubble will remain green, but when I hover, it will say settled. That means that the dollar amount listed to the left has been deposited into your bank account. You will also see when a transaction fails from this section here as well. When a transaction fails, you're presented with a white bubble and a gray X. And whenever I click on any item here, I can see more details of that transaction. So when I click on that X of my failed transaction, I'm presented with additional information. I can see right up here at the top, insufficient funds was the reasoning for this failed transaction. You can also get that detail by scrolling down to the Transaction Details Alerts tab. And here you will see the same message letting us know what has happened to cause this decline. The next area that we're going to be going to is disputes. Now this information will return the same information as your chargeback report. These are disputed items that your client has either contacted their bank or their credit card company to dispute the charge that they have seen. The next area is payment returns. Now, payment returns is not something that you will see much activity under. A payment return is a deposit that we have sent to your bank that they have rejected and kicked back to us. If you find any transactions listed here and you know that nothing has changed with our financial institution, we have not changed banks or account numbers have not changed, you'll want to contact us so that we can find out what has caused that deposit to be rejected and work with you and your bank to ensure those funds are routed appropriately. If you need to grant other users access within the firm to the APX dashboard, you may do so under Management by clicking Users, coming to the far right-hand corner and clicking our purple button, Add User. You will be selecting a role for this particular user that you are creating. Now you only have two choices here. That is full access, meaning they are moving just as freely as I am, or we have View Only, where they are only given access to items to view. They cannot add any additional users. They are a bit limited as to what they can accomplish within this dashboard. Typically, if you're giving access, you are granting full access, but this is entirely up to you. The username and the password section is assigned upon creating the user as well, so do ensure that this is accurate to what you would like to present to your other firm members. You'll fill out the remaining details, email and full name, and click Add User. and they will receive an invitation to log in to our dashboard. The next area that we're getting into is under our admin menu, and we're going to withdrawals. Again, we see the account balance that we saw on our main dashboard. So this is money on the way. These are deposits that we have sent to your bank that they are working on processing to make available to you. And again, as those funds are dispersed into your bank account, that dollar amount will reduce. The withdrawal schedule section is showing as daily frequency. This is referring to the fees for using APX. We would remove those transactional fees on a daily basis. And if we continue scrolling, we're now presented with withdrawal history. I'm going to expand this. And here you will see a list of all transactions, the status of these transactions, and the dollar amounts. This is something that is best to use to reconcile against your bank deposit slips. And we'll use these two lines as an example here. What you will see when looking at your bank deposit slips, you will see a positive dollar amount, and either right above or right below, you will see a negative dollar. Now, what you are seeing here, the positive dollar amount, is the total of the deposit that we are submitting to your bank that APX has collected on your behalf. The negative dollar amount that you see just below or just above is in regards to the fees that we are withdrawing for the APX service. Now, those fees are those transactional fees that apply to the card type or the flat rate fee that applies to our A-check ACH option. Either way, that is how you would like to read that deposit slip. The positive amount is what we have deposited, and the negative are the fees associated with that deposit. You are also given the ability to update email alerts from here as well. You can see there are various categories. I'm going to head to my transactions category. Now, initially, when we come in here, we can see that we have a triangle listed. That's because my transaction created alert is active. And if I look to the right, I also have a purple bubble listed. If I would like to turn this off, I simply click right on that purple bubble. It slides over and turns white, and the triangle has now been removed as well. The difference here that we see when we turn off an alert, the reason why that triangle has disappeared is because when an alert is active and I click on the triangle, I can now see who is receiving this particular type of email notification. When a transaction is approved, it is going to this email address. If that needs to be adjusted in any way, you can simply highlight, delete, and type in the appropriate email. Or if I need to send it to not only this email address, but others within the firm as well, I can click the plus sign just to the right of that email box, and I'm presented with a new line. Each line will house one email address. So if there are more than two, you will simply continue clicking the plus sign until all emails needed to receive this particular alert are listed in this space. Once you are done, you will hit save, and that will update appropriately. That is a general overview of our APX program within your Abacus accounting program. If you feel that a live training is necessary, please feel free to book that online, and one of our APX trainers will be happy to help you.